Hi everyone, I'm Dina with Mills Family Gardening. We live in North Texas, Zone 8A. And if you don't know, we have some exciting news for y'all. We actually purchased a small piece of land. We purchased 4.3 acres not far from where we live now. And in this video, I would like to talk about why we decided to purchase new land. We have been gardening in our backyard for about 14 years on and off. I did not garden much when our babies were too young. I did not have much time for gardening. But when we just started gardening, our backyard was in a little bit different shape. You can see that right now we have two large trees there. That's a Bradford pear, and then that one is a maple tree. And over the years, they have grown so much and they have gotten so much bigger. Back when we started gardening, they were still smaller trees. They did not create so much shade. Their roots were smaller, and we had more space and more sun to garden in our backyard. But now you can see that the trees are growing and their roots are getting much larger, and whenever I plant something in these in-ground beds or when I try to amend our soil, which is heavy red clay soil, I constantly run into their roots, and I always try to find ways to work around those roots. So that's been a challenge. In particular, this metal raised bed that we've had here for several years, if we put this raised bed right underneath this maple tree, and the roots of the tree have gotten so much larger over the years, and they have started growing into this raised bed. And of course, the roots are enjoying all the fluffy and fertile soil that we keep fertilizing. And if you come closer, you can see that all these are the roots from the tree, and it's really hard to grow anything because the roots have made this soil so compacted and really hard to grow anything in. I used to grow carrots in this raised bed, but now with these tree roots, it's impossible to grow carrots. So now I'm using this raised bed just to grow coleus, and these are the plants from last year. And actually, they're enjoying growing in this place because this is complete shade by the time it gets too hot, and they grow just fine here. The other main problem is related to the size of the trees. They have gotten so much bigger over the years. They create a lot of shade, and you can see all the green T-posts there. That's where we grow our tomatoes. And the left side of that whole area is completely shaded beginning at about noon and then all the way in the afternoon. By staying in so much shade for such a long time, tomatoes grow very slowly, they grow flowers slowly, and set fruit very slowly. So last year, I hardly harvested anything from the tomatoes that were on the left side of that area. Now, the tomatoes on the right side did produce some, but still they did not do real well because we have a lot of shade from the house, plus the trees, so they did not grow that fast. Since we have a fence all around our backyard, you can see that right now this whole area with the metal raised bed in it is in complete shade. So over the winter, I cannot grow anything in this bed. It stays empty. So this whole area is really unused. You can see that this area further away from the fence where we planted onions recently is in full sun. So this area is really good. But even during the spring, because of the trees that we have here, these are crepe myrtles, they get a lot of leaves. This area stays shaded for a while. And so I have to wait for the time when the sun gets up higher in the spring and summer, and when this area finally starts getting more sun. So last fall, I moved our tomatoes from that area to this area, hoping that they would get more sun. But in the fall, the sun was going a little bit lower again, and so this area was a lot more shaded. Before I moved tomatoes here, I grew peppers and eggplant, and they actually enjoyed part sun situation, and they grew just fine. But the tomatoes did not do so well. So it's been a little bit tricky with having so much shade in the backyard, and I noticed that we have not been as successful at gardening and harvesting crops from our backyard as we used to be. The third reason why we decided to purchase land is because we live in an HOA where they do not allow any farm animals, they do not allow any chickens or bees, and we would love to have beehives. And for us as gardeners, it would be nice to have animals like chickens, for example, so that we can collect some manure from them and use that manure in our garden. Right now, we purchase manure at Lowe's in those yellow bags, but ideally, we would love to have and produce our own chicken manure that we know what we feed our chickens. It would be clean manure, it would be composting it and applying it on our garden beds. And in general, it would be nice to have more space for our children to run since we're a homeschooling family and we spend a lot of time at home. So we cannot stay in the house all day. We have to be outside, and if we have more space, of course, it's more beneficial for us and our children. Now we are in our new land, and you can see this is open, large space. We have plenty of room to garden, but you can see that this area does not have a lot of trees. In fact, the lot next to it that was also for sale had way more trees, but now that we have not a very good experience with trees plus a garden, we decided to choose a lot that does not have a lot of trees, and we can choose the trees that we want to plant on our lot. Right now we are on the back side of our property. This is the pond, and then on the other side of the pond, this is the front of the property, and that's where we're hoping to start a garden. One of the reasons why we purchased this lot specifically is because compared to all the other lots in our county and city, this is the cheapest lot for its size. This is 4.3 acres, and this is plenty of room for us to do what we want to do. This area does not have an HOA, but the deed restriction does allow us to have 10 chickens and also 3 large animals, and we're hoping to have beehives here too. And there is a very good chance that we might create the second channel about homesteading, but this specific channel, Mills Family Gardening, will be only about gardening. So don't worry guys, we're not going to include any homesteading topics here. This will be strictly about gardening. This lot is not necessarily in a very romantic location. We don't have any big gorgeous mountains or ridges here. We don't have beautiful lakes. We do have a factory there or some kind of plant. Also on this side we have an RV park. Over there we have an electric co-op, and then right there we have the main highway. Even though it does stay quiet here, we can hear some of the traffic. But prices of land in North Texas have gone up so high that we decided to go with what we can actually afford. We're not planning to build here for several months, but while we're waiting, we decided to do the most important thing that a gardener can do that will provide us with food for the years to come, and that is to create an orchard. You can see that I'm standing by a small tree. This is a Chicago hardy fig tree. We have a couple of them, and we actually planted a total of about 40 trees, I want to say. Right now we don't have any drip irrigation here, so we're using the water from our pond to water the trees, but we planted these trees over the winter so we don't have to water them so often, and we've had a lot of rain over the last few months. Even though we have not moved here, we actually already started 2 vegetable in-ground beds, and these are our potato beds, and those are the reasons why we decided to buy new land. We're excited for our new journey. I hope y'all join us and see our new development in our new place. Thank you so much for watching this video, and happy gardening.